Chapter 10 of The Virginian. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Virginian by Owen Wister. Chapter 10 Where Fancy Was Bred. 2 camps in the open, and the Virginian's Monte horse, untired, brought him to the Swintons in good time for the barbecue. The horse received good food at length, while his rider was welcomed with good whiskey. Good whiskey, for had not steers jumped to 75? Inside the goose egg kitchen many small delicacies were preparing, and a steer was roasting whole outside. The bed of flame under it showed steadily brighter against the dusk that was beginning to veil the lowlands. The busy hosts went and came, while men stood and men lay near the fire glow. Chalkeye was there, and Nebrasky, and Trampas, and Honey Wiggin, with others, enjoying the occasion. But Honey Wiggin was enjoying himself. He had an audience. He was sitting up discoursing to it. "Hello," he said, perceiving the Virginian. "So you've dropped in for your turn. Number 6, ain't he, boys?" "Depends who's a running the countin'," said the Virginian, and stretched himself down among the audience. "I've saw him number 1 when nobody else was around," said Trampas. "How far away was you standin' when you beheld that?" inquired the lounging Southerner. "Well, boys," said Wiggin, "I expect it will be Miss Schoolmarm says who's number 1 to-night." "So she's arrived in this hyeh country?" observed the Virginian, very casually. "Arrived?" said Trampas again. "Where have you been grazing lately?" "A right smart way from the mules." "Nebrasky and the boys was tellin' me they'd missed you off the range," again interposed Wiggin. "Say, Nebrasky, who have you offered your canary to the schoolmarm said you mustn't give her?" Nebrasky grinned wretchedly. "Well, she's a lady, and she's square, not taking a man's gift when she don't take the man. But you'd ought to get back all them letters you wrote her. You sure ought to ask for them telltales." "Aw, shaw, honey," protested the youth. It was well known that he could not write his name. "Why, if here ain't Bokay Baldy!" cried the agile Wiggin, stooping to fresh prey. "Found them slippers yet, Baldy? Tell you boys, that was turruble sad luck Baldy had. Did you hear about that? Baldy, you know, he can stay on a tame horse most as well as the schoolmarm, but just you give him a pair of young knittin' needles and see him make 'em sweat. He worked an elegant pair of slippers with pink cabbages on 'em for Miss Wood." "I bought 'em at Medicine Bow," blundered Baldy. "So you did," assented the skilful comedian. "Baldy, he bought 'em. And on the road to her cabin there at the tailor's he got thinking they might be too big, and he got studying what to do. And he fixed up to tell her about his not being sure of the size, and how she was to let him know if they dropped off her, and he'd exchange 'em. And when he got right near her door, why, he couldn't find his courage. And so he slips the parcel under the fence and starts serenading her. But she ain't inside her cabin at all. She's at supper next door with the Taylors, and Baldy singing 'Love has conquered pride and anger' to a lone house. Lin McLean was coming up by Taylor's corral, where Taylor's Texas bull was. Well, it was turruble sad. Baldy's pants got tore, but he fell inside the fence, and Lin druv the bull back, and somebody stole them Medicine Bow galoshes. Are you goin' to knit her some more, Bokay?" "About half that ain't straight," Baldy commented with mildness. "The half that was tore off your pants? Well, never mind, Baldy. Lin will get left too, same as all of you." "Is there many?" inquired the Virginian. He was still stretched on his back, looking up at the sky. "I don't know how many she's been used to where she was raised," Wiggin answered. "A kid stage driver come from Point of Rocks one day and went back the next. Then the foreman of the 76 outfit, and the horse wrangler from the Bar Circle L, and 2 deputy marshals with punchers stringing right along, all got their tumble. Old Judge Burridge from Cheyenne come up in August for a hunt and stayed round here and never hunted at all. There was that horse thief, awful good lookin'. Taylor wanted to warn her about him, but Mrs. Taylor said she'd look after her if it was needed. Mr. Horse Thief gave it up quicker than most. But the schoolmarm couldn't have knowed he had a Mrs. Horse thief camped on Poison Spider till afterwards. She wouldn't go riding with him. She'll go with some, taking a kid along." "Bah!" said Trampas. The Virginian stopped looking at the sky, and watched Trampas from where he lay. "I think she encourages a man some," said poor Nebrasky. "Encourages? Because she lets yu' teach her how to shoot?" said Wiggin. "Well, I don't guess I'm a judge. I've always kind o' kep' away from them good women. Don't seem to think of anything to chat about to 'em. The only folks I'd say she encourages is the school kids. She kisses them." "Ridin' and shootin' and kissin' the kids," sneered Trampas. "That's a heap too pussy kitten for me." They laughed. The sagebrush audience is readily cynical. "Look for the man, I say," Trampas pursued. "And ain't he there? She leaves Baldy sit on the fence while she and Lin McLean—" They laughed loudly at the blackguard picture which he drew, and the laugh stopped short, for the Virginian stood over Trampas. "You can rise up now and tell 'em you lie," he said. The man was still for a moment in the dead silence. "I thought you claimed you and her wasn't acquainted," said he then. "Stand on your legs, you polecat, and say you're a liar." Trampas's hand moved behind him. "Quit that," said the Southerner, "or I'll break your neck." The eye of a man is the prince of deadly weapons. Trampas looked in the Virginian's and slowly rose. "I didn't mean," he began, and paused, his face poisonously bloated. "Well, I'll call that sufficient. Keep a standin' still. I ain't going to trouble you long. In admittin' yourself to be a liar, you have spoke God's truth for onct. Honey Wiggin, you and me and the boys have hit town too frequent for any of us to play Sunday on the balance of the gang." He stopped and surveyed Public Opinion, seated around in carefully inexpressive attention. "We ain't a Christian outfit a little bit, and maybe we have most forgotten what decency feels like. But I reckon we haven't forgot what it means. You can sit down now if you want." The liar stood and sneered experimentally, looking at Public Opinion. But this changeful deity was no longer with him, and he heard it variously assenting, "That's so," and "She's a lady," and otherwise excellently moralizing. So he held his peace. When, however, the Virginian had departed to the roasting steer, and Public Opinion relaxed into that comfort which we all experience when the sermon ends, Trampas sat down amid the reviving cheerfulness, and ventured again to be facetious. "Shut your rank mouth," said Wiggin to him, amiably. "I don't care whether he knows her or if he done it on principle. I'll accept the roundin' up he gave us. And say, you'll swallow your dose too. Us boys'll stand in with him in this." So Trampas swallowed. And what of the Virginian? He had championed the feeble, and spoken honorably in meeting, and according to all the constitutions and bylaws of morality, he should have been walking in virtue's especial calm. But there it was. He had spoken. He had given them a peep through the keyhole at his inner man. And as he prowled away from the assemblage before whom he stood convicted of decency, it was vicious rather than virtuous that he felt. Other matters also disquieted him. So Lin McLean was hanging round that schoolmarm. Yet he joined Ben Swinton in a seemingly Christian spirit. He took some whiskey and praised the size of the barrel, speaking with his host like this: "There certainly ain't going to be trouble about a second helping." "Hope not. We'd ought to have more trimmin's, though. We're shy on ducks." "You have the barrel. Has Lin McLean seen that?" "No. We tried for ducks away down as far as the Laparelle outfit. A real barbecue—" "There's large thirsts on Bear Creek. Lin McLean will pass on ducks." "Lin's not thirsty this month." "Signed for 1 month, has he?" "Signed? He's spooning our schoolmarm." "They claim she's a right sweet faced girl." "Yes, yes, awful agreeable, and next thing you're fooled clean through." "You don't say."